Hey, hey, hey! Get in my belly!
Today, we are talking about diet culture from focus to whole food. Can we start over?
I was not ready.
And the blue one, and the yellow one, and the red one, and the box.
Hey, hey, hey! Get in my belly!
Today, we are talking about diet culture and how it has evolved over the past 30 years. From diet programs, fat-free everything, and thin as in, to a shift in focus to whole foods, high protein, healthy fats, and strong ain't wrong. Okay, I made that one up, but wellness and muscle tone over being skinny. So bring a small appetite and grab yourself a Slimfast, friends.
Not a Slimfast. So good.
But of course, before we set the table, I gotta know, who are you calling Karen? Hey, Manny.
Hey, hey, hey!
Yours are so good, Steph.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Nope,
I had to
do
mute
it.
myself.
Nope, do it.
No.
Do the hey, hey, hey.
No, I'm nervous now. I'll do it later.
Chicken.
I'm so excited to talk about food.
Me too.
I was
love this.
trying to think of a food Karen, but
Oh,
like the last minute, I just couldn't come up with something. But I do have one that I would love your opinions on if this is Karen behavior or not. I was trying to pull from my childhood because I feel like there's probably a lot of Karens in the 90s. And the one thing that came to mind was I was a figure skater growing up. I skated for like 7 years, so it wasn't just a hobby, it was legit. And we got to a point I think I was in middle school where I was like only doing private lessons. I had like gotten past, all of like the group class stuff. And so it was getting pretty serious and it was getting really expensive. And it got to a point where my parents were like, basically like, I'm sorry, but we can't afford this anymore. So you have to quit your sport. And so that happened. And it wasn't like devastating to me. Like I was getting into the thick of middle school, like my friends and sports at school were the most important thing. So it was fine. But when we made that decision, I had like, I don't know how many weeks left before we weren't kind of starting the next season. And one of the women who was a friend of mine's mom, she like ran stuff at the rink and she kind of pulled me aside one day. She had clearly assumed that I had chosen to quit the sport. And she was trying to pep talk me into staying. Like she was saying, you're such a talented skater and you have such a bright future. And I just hope you've really thought about this and maybe reconsider because we love having you here, like all of that, like kind of pep talky stuff. And I remember being uncomfortable because I didn't want to like air my parents' laundry and be like, well, I would love to stay, but my parents can't afford this, So I was just like, okay, thank you. I'll think about it or whatever. And then I just kind of never approached it with her again. Like, and that was it at the time. I would say comfortably like just middle class. And so figure skating is a very expensive sport when you get to the more senior levels. And so like you have to have a lot of money to continue on in a sport like that. It wasn't anything in hindsight to really be embarrassed about or worry about my parents about, but I didn't know the world, And so like, I didn't know if I could say that, but I guess I'm wondering, is that mom a Karen for like having that conversation with me? Should that have been a conversation she had with my parents and not me? Like it's kind of presumptuous. And I do think an important element here is that family had a lot of money. It was very clear based on their house, their cars, her daughter was a friend of mine.
Well. I just went back and listened to our Goodbye Earl Hello Outrage episode where you said I made an outrageous claim about Sister Mary Clarence.
I did make this connection.
And this is giving similar energy. Also, you said
But
play the
no,
clip.
she came to me, not to the mom.
Still, was it her place to say anything at all?
Maybe.
Is that what you're asking? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I am. Well,
I just
so
want to be clear about what we're asking. So I want to say that, and
I'm
I
asking
just
if you
wanna
thought she
give
should have
justice.
gone to my parents.
I also want to give justice to you said play the clip about Sister Mary Clarence, and I did go back, and people on Instagram agree with me that Rita's mom stood on business, and you guys added a whole lot of extra to what Sister Mary Clarence said that she didn't actually say. And I just want you guys to go back and play the clip on that one because she did not say all the things to Rita's mom that you guys think she might have said.
Let's not raise that argument, please, because we could go on a really long time.
saying-
I just want to know if
I
this
just
mom.
think this is giving similar energy.
I know. I did think about that, though. I did
What
think
did
about
you think
that.
about? Say more.
Who is she to you? Like, why was she? Did she coach or did she run
She
the?
worked at the rink, and the only thing I really remember is that she played our music during, like, we would have, you would pay for like an hour of ice time, and then you would have like 30 minutes with your coach. And so this woman was responsible for like playing our music when we were practicing our routine. I remember that. But I think she did a lot of other like administration at the rink. That's just how I knew her. So I'm downplaying her role, but like, yeah, I think she did a lot of just administration around the rink. She was a rink
And she
employee.
worked. So she worked there. She knew you had been.
She knew me in skating and out of, because I was friends with her daughter at school. We went to school together.
What were you gonna say, Monica?
I said what I said.
I just want to know if you think that was Karen behavior, like approaching a, probably 14-year-old girl, making assumptions about why she was quitting.
I feel like that's, I'm going to say the same thing I said about Sister Mary Clarence. Like, I am a coach, and when you have people who come through your program from very young and teenager, 12, 13 years old, decide to quit, and they've been doing it for so long, I would, as their coach, say something, especially if they were my student, especially if I worked with them one-on-one, or whatever.
That wasn't the relationship, though, that I had with her.
True. So maybe she, maybe it would have been better coming from your coach. So maybe she didn't have a place to say. So maybe she is a Karen. But the question being asked to you at 14, if it was your coach, I would have asked you and not your parents too, if it were me.
Yeah. I think it's more like when I consider this, I think it's like intent versus impact,
Yeah.
And like I would agree, like, and I actually do agree about like this is why I know I'm joking about like the Sister Mary Clarence stuff, but I do agree that like as an educator, as a guide, like my primary role is to light my kids up, and so like if I see their light dimmed, like I'm gonna do everything I can to encourage that enthusiasm and to bring that zest back, and so I think sometimes, our way of doing it might not have been in this situation, like how she did it. It might have been a little more tone deaf with the expense side of it, instead of operating, like we say, from a place of curiosity of like, I'd love to hear
What
more about
happened?
like what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe that, but I think her intent was to have an impact on you to like show what she saw in you and your value in the community. And I don't think that makes her a Karen. I think it's more just like the privilege, which kind of, I guess, is a Karen, the privilege of her children being able to enjoy the sport without having to consider any of the, stuff around it, is her being tone deaf.
Yeah.
But that's also
I
kind of a
do
Karen,
I do think that is a little bit Karen-y of just, she hadn't even considered that was a reason. The only reason that could have been real for her was that I was choosing to leave figure skating out of my own personal choice. And so I think your point on leading with curiosity is really important. Like, this is just something that we all need to be better about. Instead of just assuming you know why I'm quitting, starting with a question, like, can you share, are you comfortable sharing with me why you're quitting? Because we're going to miss you. That would have been, I think, a better way to approach it.
Yeah. And I think on the flip side, though, if, someone didn't, another thought is the idea of just making sure, she didn't do it right. She should have led with a question. She doesn't know why. She's not your coach. She didn't train you. So she doesn't really have grounds to try and convince you or whatever. But on the flip side, if you see that someone who is a part of your program is not leaving and you feel like you just hope that they know how talented they are and how valuable they are and how, the intent, I'm hoping, is that she just didn't want you to leave without knowing that she saw potential in you and that you were a talent and somebody that will be missed, like you said. But like you said, she should have asked. And that's heavy for a 14-year-old who is leaving their sport not by their own accord. That's happened, at my studio many times. And it's very devastating. And, and the kids on the other side of it, they're like, she just quit our team. And it's like, well, we have to treat that with sensitivity. You don't know fully why. You don't know what happened here. Like, I get that you'll miss her and we have to redirect and stuff. So,
Thanks. That's all for me. Manny, over to you.
That felt like free therapy for you.
I hadn't thought about it in years. Like I said, I was trying to think of something further back because I don't have anything recent that came to mind. But that was the first story that came to my mind. And I thought, now as an adult, reflecting on that moment feels very different than how it felt then. Or my understanding of it then,
Yeah, and obviously being a parent now, you kind of have an understanding of why parents make decisions and why other people's opinions on those decisions are sometimes just unwarranted. Like Rita's mom.
Nope. Nope.
Okay, so my Karen of the week is, I'm going to keep it very simple. And I don't really know if this is still what it is or not, but a few weeks ago, I was doing something, pulling up our streaming services and clicking on Netflix, and Netflix now has podcast where you can watch podcasts on Netflix, which seems strange in of itself to be a sentence that I'm saying right now. But my Karen is Netflix, because all the podcasts that were highlighted, I scrolled at least through 6 or 7. And and all of them were men. White men.
Boo.
Really? I thought you were going to say the famous people thing.
Which also, yeah. And then there's also, that was also going to lead me into that of I said, for listeners to give you some background, I sent to Steph and Karen a clip from some podcasters. I think it was the podcast Love to See It, where I know for a fact, started almost 10 years ago recapping The Bachelor. They got me into podcasts and into podcast recapping. I don't really listen to them much now, but they have really built their brand. They have really done the work to make podcasting an industry that is respectable. And what they were talking about on this clip that I sent to you guys is that there's a podcast awards, I guess, now that's happening. And the people who are receiving the awards are celebrities. And it's well, of course these celebrities are going to have the most views, the most watched or whatever, because they already have the name, where podcasters like us and Love to See It, we're really working out from nothing to try to get our voices and our messages heard. And it's a lot harder to gain visibility that way than it would be for a celebrity to do so on a podcast. And so, so I think there's just really going to be if I am seeing this correctly and channeling this correctly, I think there's really going to be a conversation around the podcast industry in the next couple of years of like who's in it, how these awards and stuff work. Like, I just feel like there's a shift here coming, and I don't really know what it is, but I think that more people are starting to recognize that like celebrities are starting to take up the space, and men.
Sorry, I would argue they've taken up the space. Like,
Yeah.
it feels done.
Yeah. And so I guess a great way to kind of uplift that is like, just thank you guys for listening, and please leave reviews and subscribe to our podcast, because it is definitely a saturated industry, but that doesn't keep us from speaking on these airwaves what it is that we feel we should speak and share, and particularly that it's saturated with white male voices, and some of those clips that we see on Instagram getting thousands and millions of views of men saying things that are absolutely deplorable, and for Netflix to then go and highlight that only men featured on podcasts, it's like we cannot say that there's a male loneliness or a male epidemic. Seriously. Or male, like, we cannot say that. Like, it just, the facts are right there in front of our face. So Netflix, do better. You're coming to Monmouth County. You're building right in behind our neighborhood right now. So I will find you and I will hunt you down.
And like,
on
that's
that
the
note,
clip on the next Lifetime movie where it's like fast forward and it's like, that's the last time anybody heard from Anika.
I'll stand on business on that. No, that was not a threat. It's just a warning, as Cardi B says.
We are a comedy podcast. I don't know.
It was
All
just a joke.
All right.
Hey, well, thank you for those Karens. You just heard our Karen stories, but we can't be the only ones. If you've had a Karen or Chad encounter or confessional, you've been a Karen yourself, we'd love to hear from you. Wherever you listen, click on the link in our show notes and text us your Karen stories. Okay, so this topic idea started how most days since January 20th, 2025 started. I wake up asking, what kind of fresh hell will we find ourselves in today? And I came across a video by my girl, Dr. Jessica Knurick. You guys, you know how much I love her.
You do.
We do.
I love her so much. Dr. Jessica Knurick, you are the bomb.
Quick question. Would you go les for her?
Do you know what's funny? I don't know what the answer is to that question, but
Sounds like a yes to me.
but like I was scrolling to find this video and I was like, every time like we have our like saved reels and stuff for our podcast, and I was scrolling through and I was like, I know there's one, and every time she came across the screen, I like gave the most gooey eyed smile, and I like felt myself do it. I was like. She's just so smart and so like articulate and clear and direct. Oh,
There's something very attractive about that, isn't there?
What'd you say? There's something very attractive.
About that,
There's
isn't
something
there?
very attractive about that.
You have a lot of respect for her, that's for sure.
I do. So anyway, I came across Dr. Jessica, and she was letting us know that the dietary guidelines have been changed by the current administration. And I have linked the video in our show notes. So I'm not going to play it just because, again, I could get carried away with what she talks about in this video, and I can get carried away with what she has to say and how she organized these thoughts. It could be a whole episode in itself. But I want to just pull out some key points from the video. First of all, I'm not sure if are you guys familiar with the fact that the dietary guidelines have changed? As in like dietary guidelines, meaning like the 4 food groups to the pyramid to...
Yep.
Okay.
Did we cover this on the episode?
The last
I
one.
don't think this had happened when we did Maha the last time.
Okay.
This
So
particular
I guess, no,
thing.
I'm not.
Give the cliff notes
okay.
for our listeners.
Basically, in her video, she plays like one of the secretaries. It wasn't RFK Jr. It was this other guy. I think maybe he's the secretary of like the USDA. and RFK Jr. is health and human sciences. But he was talking about the fact, it cuts into him saying, like, we really need to get rid of the food pyramid. Like, it just is old school. Like, it doesn't do what it needs to do. And so we have created a new food pyramid. And basically, it takes the food pyramid and it turns it on its head. So it's now this upside down pyramid. And, you know, the original pyramid had like how many servings and it was like sliced. This is just like pictures of food in the shape of an upside down triangle now. And so some of her key points are: one, they replace something that 90% of Americans don't actually follow. Like not many Americans actually turn to the dietary guidelines for their meal planning. And she talks about why that is, and it's because our systems make it difficult to do so. So this is why I said I don't want to play the video, because I could go on and on about that. So definitely please watch the video. So A, 90% of Americans don't actually follow it. And B, the food pyramid was replaced 15 years ago. It was replaced in 2011 by My Plate. Yeah. Sorry, I get so angry when thinking about this. My Plate actually makes perfect sense. It gives you a plate and it divides it, that's saying half your plate should be vegetables and fruits, the other half whole grains and protein, and then dairy like on the side, like off the side of the plate. So I think that was kind of what was missing from the pyramid, is that it wasn't like meal by meal. It was more like over the course of a day. She said they count on Americans not knowing that, hence boosting this false narrative that Maha movement is going to save the day. But truly, it's just propaganda, because, you know, since RFK Jr. has come in and basically wiping out all the scientists and nutritionists that have been doing this research for many, many years, and kind of making them not credible, and then acting like they're fixing some issue, but this issue did not exist because the food pyramid hasn't been in place for 15 years. Mm-hmm. So it's propaganda. And 3, the other key point from this video is, as always, Dr. Knurick points out that changing dietary guidelines that Americans don't follow is not directing us toward public health, and that public health can only be fixed by dismantling the systems that this administration upholds. Access to health care, accessibility to fresh food, nutrition assistance programs that have recently been gutted, etc. So that's really the point of the video. So I was kind of just sitting there thinking about like the dietary guidelines being changed and, you know, SNAP and all that stuff being cut. And then I just started to think about the food pyramid in a more nostalgic way, because it's like, I remember the food pyramid. Like, I literally remember it being introduced. And so I started wondering about like the federal government. When did they start issuing dietary guidelines? And what really is their purpose? Like, why does this even exist? Like, I kind of went down, like my brain kind of wandered off from anger to the food pyramid. I forgot about that. And I remember like learning about it. So I just want to give this like brief background on dietary guidelines. And then I wanted to pause and ask you guys a quick question. So the first actual dietary guidelines were issued in 1980. Like there were previous dates before this, but dietary guidelines started in 1980. And then in 1992 was when the food pyramid was introduced. So I was like, 1992. Like,
yeah, that makes sense for us.
That's like right when we were coming up. And I remember like talking about, I remember before that it was like the 4 food groups. And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then 2005, my pyramid was added in activity, and they changed the pyramid to be vertical, and there was like stripes. And then 2011 is when My Plate was launched. And I just want to remind everyone that it is 2026. So again, no need to replace the food pyramid because it was replaced already. And so then I found this explanation of what the focus was, or the purpose, like why even have dietary guidelines. And so from the 1900s to the 1950s, it was because of deficiencies. So like that was when there was scurvy, rickets, and just ensuring people actually have enough energy. And then from the 1980s, it was because to present was about reducing chronic disease. So like obesity, heart disease, managing fats, added sugars, and sodium. And now there's an emphasis on nutrient dense whole foods, limiting processed foods and added sugars, and expanding to provide recommendations across lifespan, including for infants. I just kind of didn't really understand why there were even guidelines. So I was just kind of wanting some background on that. My first question to you before we get into really what we're talking about today is, do you guys remember the food pyramid, like when it was introduced, and what did you learn about what makes up a balanced diet? Like, I feel like when I watched 90s commercials, they'd be like, as part of a balanced diet or something like that. And I'm like, what did that mean to you guys then? Or do you, like, does this bring up any like memories of like learning about food and diet and all that kind of stuff at school? Or
Yeah, I definitely remember the food pyramid. I was actually surprised that it was 92 when that came out, because the food pyramid is the only memory I have of like how we structured conversation around what a balanced diet was. But I know I liked having all of my carbs there on the bottom that I could eat as much of as I wanted. Not exactly, but that's how my diet is definitely orchestrated today. So,
Like in 1992 in elementary school, all I remember about like healthy eating and healthy foods is that there was like an ungodly obsession with milk, and like having milk with your school lunches was like required, and I hated milk. And I just remember that being like totally stupid to me. Like, I don't even want to drink milk right now. And I always had to get like a milk with my lunch.
man, that's coming full circle. That's all they talk about, like whole milk.
Oh, really?
Maha, like, yeah.
Oh, I'm not
raw
paying
milk.
attention.
You're not necessarily whole milk, like raw milk.
Raw milk.
Because
No,
whole milk
they're saying that whole milk needs to be available in schools, because one of the Michelle Obama things was like making it 1% and 2%, and now RFK Jr. is spouting that like whole milk needs to be what's available in schools. All I know about milk was I was very lactose intolerant when I was a kid, so there was no milk with my school lunch. That would have been disastrous for everyone involved.
I actually found like something they were saying in the 90s that you were actually supposed to have 3 glasses of milk a day. And of course, the Got Milk, like the Got Milk ads.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I like collected those.
There was like a big thing on milk back then.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember that about elementary school. And then I remember in middle school taking home economics. And in home ec, that's where we really focused on like the food pyramid and making meals that would be more for like a balanced diet. And I remember making baked potatoes in a microwave.
That's so, oh my gosh. First of all,
That's
thank
amazing.
you, because I was so hoping someone would say that you talked about it in home ec, because that's when I feel like we talked about the food pyramid and like meal planning and all that stuff. And I can't remember what grade it was, but we had to prepare a meal or prepare a dish. And I did twice baked potatoes.
Twice baked potatoes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. But we got to, it wasn't in the microwave. We got to put it in the oven and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You guys are fancy. That's so
we were
funny.
fancy.
But I think maybe you will go on. I'll save this comment, but I do want to put a pin here. I don't know if it's coming later on down the line, but to relate back to your girl's piece about the systems, home economic is no longer offered. Home ec is no longer offered.
I was just going to ask that. Why?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, like, when it comes to like teaching and educating about this, I find it interesting that course got removed out of schools.
That's like the most important course.
A part of me feels like it's something with the patriarchy and it being a woman identified elective that they didn't want to fund. But that's
my
me
school
being
does
cynical.
offer it. So this isn't something that is is coming up again. So I didn't even think about this. But my school does offer it, but it's just not called home ec anymore.
Oh, okay.
They call it Family Consumer Sciences.
Oh,
And so my school has, I think in 7th grade is when you start to cook. Like they make things and stuff, and it's a room with the kitchens and all that stuff, and they cook, but they also talk about like financial planning for your home and stuff too.
Yes.
So it's like more
is it a
comprehensive.
required course or is it an elective?
It's required in middle school. I think in high school it becomes elective, but they do have to take it.
Yeah, it was required at middle school for me.
Same for me. Yeah.
But you are right. I do remember it changing to the name Family Consumer Sciences. I just know in this area, they've replaced it with STEM.
Oh, so they don't like make anything? Because you know what these kids don't do in that class, which we did in my home ec class, was sew.
Yeah. Yep.
You definitely don't. That is a little more obsolete. So I'm okay with them getting rid of that and adding family.
As a
But
dance
you
teacher,
don't need to know how to sew and stitch like a button or something like that.
button.
Just like you should know how to like thread a needle.
and I'm telling you, as a dance teacher, when we send a costume home and we're like, "Hey, can you just sew, you just need to sew this bow here on this costume?" And these are moms are like, I'm like, up and down, honey, up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't touch a
And they
needle
could
and
make
thread
that, and
anymore.
they could make that so cool, like because the kids are all into like bedazzling now. Like
Yeah.
they're into like like even boys are into like bedazzling their cleats. I saw. Like, you could do a really cool unit on like sewing, fashion, and stuff in that class. So anyway, sorry to derail us, but those
No,
were the
this
memories
is-
that came up.
No, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Because this is the same thing that happened to me. Like, I saw that and I got fuming mad about the administration. And then I got real nostalgic about, home ec and learning about food and cooking at school and learning how to properly wash dishes and all that kind of stuff. So then I started to say, like, with all of this background, and what we are really going to talk about is dieting. Because when you talk about what you should be eating, it's also interesting to start talking about what people tell you not to eat. And so what I first wanted to do is I have some information about just talking about dieting in the 90s versus nowadays. So I'm just going to give you like a few like background points. And then I have a couple questions. So, Mimi, I see you on this document. Don't you open it. There's
okay,
a surprise
sorry.
at the end.
Oh, okay. My
There's a
bad.
surprise at the end.
I'm just trying to be a good student.
So in the 90s, diet culture was defined by the war on fat. So
Yes.
everything was like low fat. Dieting in the 90s was influenced by the food pyramid. And I love, Karen, that you brought up like how pyramid had carbs down at the bottom. But with that being said, if the top is fat and fat was the enemy, then 6 to 11 servings of carbs kind of makes sense. And that's over the course of the day. But everything was low fat. And so products like Snackwell cookies,
my
fat-free
gosh.
salad dressing. I know we had like sugar-free syrup at our house. Olestra was a controversial fat substitute. Diet sodas. The Zone in Atkins. So Atkins was late 90s. So that's when the shift went from carb heavy to carb light, and carbs were to be reduced. But that wasn't until the late 90s. That's when in the 90s was the introduction of liquid meals. So Slimfast and other meal replacement shakes were at their peak. And then if you're looking for like drug replacement or drugs that will help you lose weight, Fen-Phen. And do you guys remember like Hydroxycut and
Totally. Yeah. All of this is like check for me.
So today it's more about wellness instead of like the low fat. So modern trends focus less on light versions of food and just more metabolic health. So a lot of times you're hearing now high protein. I feel like I'm hearing that a lot, especially as a perimenopausal lady. And the current macronutrient is protein. So like carnivore diets. There's a lot of focus on gut health. I don't know if you hear that word a lot. So like probiotics, fermented foods. There has been the increase of medical treatments like GLP-1s. And so moving away from programs like Weight Watchers, which was more the 90s. Actually, that started in 1983, but was really big in the 90s. And then the language kind of shifted to more body neutrality. So unlike the 90s, the heroin chic, I sadly remember hearing that phrase.
Oh my gosh.
To now growing fat liberation movement and a preference for athletic or strong body types. And then there's just this quick summary. So in the 90s, the villain, as far as food was concerned, was dietary fat. Today, the villain for food is sugar and ultra-processed carbs. In the 90s, the main goal was weight loss. And nowadays, the phrasing is like wellness, longevity, muscle tone. Snack trends were more like fat-free cookies and like fat-free snacks. And nowadays, it's like high-protein bars, green powders. And back then, if there was a medical fix, it would be like pills like Fen-Phen. And nowadays, Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever. Okay, so this just gives us some background, like comparing 90s to 2000s when we're talking about dieting. So my first question is, and I wanted to list a couple things. Jenny Craig, does that sound familiar?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I feel like all of my friends' moms were Jenny Craig.
Jenny Craig. Oh my God. Was it like 1-900?
I was just thinking about
Jenny.
this one. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
I probably said it wrong, but okay. Question number 1. Have you ever tried any of these programs, or do you know anyone who did? So like Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, and maybe like one of the pills. I think I've probably tried one of the pills. I'm trying to think which one it was.
Yeah, I feel like I tried one of the poor man's hydroxy cuts in like late high school. I like vividly remember my sister buying them for me because you had to be 18, which is so bad to say this out loud, but I do remember that. I remember trying Slimfast and being starving.
Yeah, because it was like it was Slimfast for breakfast.
It was a
Slim
shake
Fast
for breakfast, a shake for lunch,
and a sensible dinner.
Yeah. Good brain space to be used on not essential information.
Manny, did you know anyone who did any of these programs, or did you do any?
I did not. I mean, I think that it was like, to Karen's comment of like, I think probably my friends' moms, and I don't know, my sister, or like I feel like it was around me, but I didn't try any of those. No.
I actually remember my friend's dad doing Atkins, like I feel like right when it must have come out. We were in high school, and I remember thinking like, you can't possibly think that this is real. Like I would walk into their house and it would just smell like bacon, and he would just eat like the fattiest of fatty meats all day, every day, and be like, I'm on an Atkins diet. And I'm like, dude, use your use your mind. You can't believe.
Did he lose weight, or like did it work for him?
No, of course not. He literally ate like mayonnaise and bacon and was like, I'm on the Atkins diet. And I'm like, all right, bro. Like, are you kidding me? And you're clogging your arteries in the process. Oh my gosh. It's just.
Well, shortly after I graduated, I did try Weight Watchers, went to the meeting and everything.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and I didn't last very long, but it's like, because it's like really restrictive diet. Like I know that you're free to eat, and once you get your points, you're done, but like you're really just not eating very much food.
Yeah, you're starving yourself.
Yeah. Okay. My next question is, how did 90s diet culture impact your own personal body image? For example, so this is something that popped into my head when I was thinking about this, is the physiques of, and Manny, I'm sorry, I know you didn't really watch this show, but Friends. The physiques of Rachel, Monica, and Phoebe on Friends really stands out to me. Karen, please back me up on this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember between which season, but they literally like went so slim, and like there was a curviness about Rachel before that went away, and it was like kind of late 90s. So I remember, diet culture changed around then, and just being a dancer, a black one with a booty at that. And you guys remember the story I shared in our last episode. So again, 90s culture impact on your personal body image. Any stories to share in that vein?
I don't really know where to begin because I feel like 90s culture as a whole totally broke me from a self-image perspective. And I feel like I probably always had a slightly athletic build. Like I was always very active and I was never skinny, but I was not ever heavy. And the way that I thought of myself was like, I'm the heaviest person to ever walk this earth. And that was not coming from my parents, like that was clearly coming from all of the signals around me in society and all of these diet cultures like Victoria's Secret. And like, just there's so many images of gaunt women to remind me that I was not that. And that still affects me today. I try really hard to overcome that, but it feels like an impossible feat.
I'm mostly quiet because I have a lot of issues, but of the issues I have, this darkness never found me. So I'm just sitting in gratitude that I have not experienced personal body image challenges. I don't know if that's because I was like escaping in other ways, but this is not my story. So I'm just kind of listening, similar to what Karen was saying though. I will say is what I am coming into now and how I think this might relate is that I'm born athletic. I am an athletic person. And I think in the 90s, that was not sexy or something like how we have now with like athleisure and like workout culture and everything. And I feel like now I'm more irritated by that because it feels like a trend where it's like I was actually born with this gift. It took me a long time to recognize my athleticism was something that like was unique to me. And I don't think it was highly desirable by like boys when I was growing up, and that kind of like a little bit like messed with me and moved me from playing sports to just fully, embracing dance as my avenue of sport. But now when I box and when I run and when I lift, I'm like, this just feels so good in my body. And I have been carried back home to when I was a little girl and having that same experience. So I just feel like I've always kind of loved being active and loved being in my body and love using my body in this way, that I was almost spared from this. But don't get me wrong, there were other things that I have suffered from. I am not immune to not having any kind of sickness mentally. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm going to take us on a random tangent really quickly, but there was this GIF meme thing, reel, I don't know what they're called, Instagram the other day that was like, we all have one of those friends that's like gorgeous and funny and really smart and has like a great job and great kids and everyone thinks this person's just great. That person has stomach problems. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So everyone has their problem, Manny, like you're saying. We can cut that, but that's just what it made me think of.
I think I've seen that. Do you so maybe not from like a body image like perspective, but do you feel like the change in language towards food, like before being low fat and now thinking more low carb, or like do you feel like you are like that's in your consciousness, Manny? Because I do feel like you eat pretty healthy from my understanding what healthy eating is. I don't know, I'm not an expert or anything, but like do you feel like there's been a shift in how like you meal plan for yourself and your family based on the shift in like the dietary guidelines, or maybe in diet culture and how it's shifted? And not diet as in losing weight, I mean diet as in what you're supposed to eat. Like do you feel like that shift has impacted how you eat and plan?
I think that shift happened in college or like post-college for me, when I realized there was a couple things financially, right? I eat what I eat financially. I ate what I ate financially in college because that's what I could afford, right? And so then I developed a habit of like junk food eating in college, because that to the doctor's, I'm going to call her the doctor's point, that was just the system that I was in. I didn't have access to fruits. I wasn't going to the grocery store like that in college, and my mom wasn't on campus to grocery shop for me to make sure that I was getting those nutrients. So I think what happened was I developed a habit that was difficult for me to break post college. And then once I had the financial means and the ability to really listen to my body back again, like once I got rid of some of the like dark stuff that I was talking about, I really made a concerted effort to look at everything I was putting in my body, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. It was a holistic change for me. Like, I don't even take Advil like that anymore for my period, like I really try to listen to what my body is communicating to me. But that came after spending a lot of times like destroying my body after the habits that I developed in college. I don't know if that really answered the question, but I think that's
no, it absolutely did. It absolutely did, because I just feel like, I don't know, when I read that chart that like paralleled what we were saying in the 90s and what we're saying now, and when I look at the old food pyramid, I'm like, that's crazy. I can't believe they told us to eat all those carbs. But like, if you're eating no fats and all that's kind of stuff, and what we know now, like, you kind of need that for an energy source. And it just made me understand why the pyramid looked the way it did. And so when you're talking about like whole foods and fresh fruit and all that kind of stuff, like, and it's just funny because like you said, I didn't have my mom to like go grocery shopping for me. It's like crazy to be the adult who's having to decide like what I'm supposed to eat. I'm supposed to decide what my child is supposed to eat. And that's why it's just crazy. I get so angry about the administration putting so much poisonous information into the universe while we're trying to just survive and do the right thing for ourselves and our families. And they're just like putting all this misinformation from a medical standpoint, from every standpoint. That's why I get so like frustrated with it, and why I appreciate someone like her who is trying to inform us from a scientific, researched backed, perspective.
Yeah, I will also add that like the last time I went to the doctors, I did not get a clean bill of health. I have like high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And that really shocked me because like you said, like my diet is, I thought that I was, pretty well balanced in my diet. But there's also a part of this conversation that like my father died when I was young. So there's like genetic pieces that I don't quite have answers to that also contribute to that bill of health, that like it's also a part of this conversation of like sometimes your genetics really play a role in how your diet looks. And so it isn't as simple as what the administration is trying to put out. Like there's a lot more questions rather than answers that we should be asking.
Manny, I'm so glad you raised the genetics piece, because I'm going to call back to Erica, who for our listeners was on, I think, our first season as a guest, and a conversation she and I had a number of years ago. So she's a dietitian. As I alluded to with the food pyramid, my diet is very heavy in carbs. It always has been. It's what I like. And what Erica has taught me is it's kind of what my body needs, because I do have some of those gut issues that we talked about. And so she was explaining to me once that like, if we all do a better job of intuitive eating, of actually listening to our body and what our body is craving, then we're going to be better about giving it what it actually needs in terms of fuel, and not just giving it the things that, society has made us believe we need. And it is very individualized. My body needs more carb heavy foods because my gut is what it is, and and that's easier for it to process. Other people might need more protein, and other people might need more fruits and vegetables, whatever. Like putting in these guidelines are literally just that. They are guidelines. Like for the average body, this is what we would recommend. But every body is very different, and genetics are a huge factor. Like some people, to your point, have heart disease in their family. I have heart disease in my family. And like, if you ate the cleanest diet and like the least amount of fat, you would still have problems managing your cholesterol. That is why the marriage of, diet and modern medicine are beneficial. And if you have people who aren't actual doctors managing modern medicine, then we are all in a little bit of trouble. So yeah, I hear all of these words. I do think, to your question, Steph, I do think I have a much healthier relationship with my diet and my body image than I used to have, but I still find, looking in the mirror, my immediate thought is negative. And like I've talked about this with a therapist before, and she, one of the things that she suggested I do is like every day when I'm looking in the mirror, like in the morning getting dressed, I have to say something nice to my body. And it's just like changing that programming that was like decades of programming in my brain to realize you can always focus on the negative, but there are positive elements too. And if you just shift that perspective, then, that will start that reprogramming, I guess. That's just my take.
I love it. Well, I wanted to end with, it's not as good as Keep It Snappy, but
which is not what it's called. But okay.
But yet
I just wanted
it that.
I wanted to do a short this or that with 90s snacks because I just, again, got very nostalgic when doing this research for some reason. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read like 2 90s snacks, and you just have to pick one. And it's going to be challenging because they're all good stuff. Are you ready?
I hope Dunkaroos are on here.
Okay. That was on here. Okay. Let's just go. This or that. Gushers or Scooby snacks?
Oh, Gushers.
Gushers.
Hands down. What the fuck is a Scooby snack?
What?
Gushers all day, Steph.
High C or Little Hug fruit barrels?
Little Hugs.
Oh, the latter. Yeah, definitely. High C. Okay. Yeah.
Capri Sun or Squeeze-Its?
Sorry, going back to the last question, I never really had High C. It was more like Sunny Delight.
Oh. You're ruining
Manny,
it, Manny.
you... Okay.
No extra thoughts.
My bad. Spoilers.
Oops. Wait, what was this one that you said? Capri Sun or something?
Capri Sun or Squeeze-Its?
Oh, Squeeze-Its.
No, I thought it was Capri Sun or Huggies.
No, it was High C or
Huggies. Okay.
Little
Capri
Hugs.
Sun, Capri Sun or Capri Sun. I don't really like Capri Suns, but I would choose that over whatever the other option was because I don't really know if I ever drank that.
Okay. Push Pops or Flavor Ice?
Push Pops. Push Pops.
Wait, are Flavor Ice the like ones you put in the freezer?
Yeah, Push Pops.
That you cut the top of.
Or the candy? Right?
Wait, am I saying the wrong thing with Push Pops? I'm thinking like Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, they're like sherbet, like.
Yeah, Push Pops are like Flavor Ice that you snip the top off of.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Push Pops were more of a novelty for me.
Yeah, same.
So definitely that.
I liked Flavor Ice better, but okay.
And I liked how creamy they were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this one is really challenging for me, but Hostess or Little Debbie?
We were a Hostess household. We've talked about this with like my family a lot recently.
What are we eating from those? Cinnamon rolls?
Well, so just the Hostess family of sweet treats or the Little Debbie? Like, who has the better products? Hostess, like, is Ding Dongs, Twinkies. I can't think of
Debbie
others.
has like those.
Little Debbie has, the Swiss
Little
rolls, Nutter Butters, or whatever.
Yeah, Nutter Butters. Ooh,
Oh my God, I know those are like crack to me still.
so good.
Okay, Warheads or Pop Rocks?
Oh,
Warheads. I hated Pop Rocks in my mouth.
I think Warheads, but that's pretty close for me.
Pop Rocks were like, what the fuck is happening in my
I know, that's why I kind of liked it.
Okay, I have a few more.
Okay.
Fruity Pebbles or Tricks?
Tricks.
Uno ski barbecue.
I don't know what just happened.
So on the back of
Manny is malfunctioning.
on the back of the Trix cereal box one year or 1 month, there was like the rabbit was meeting a group of aliens, and the aliens said, "Uno skeet Bart bekeet," and that became like an inside joke with me and my cousins. So anyway, it translates to "No, you silly rabbit, tricks are for kids."
That's an excellent answer, I guess, then.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, fruit
Okay.
pebbles just get too soggy. That's my
Yes. Agreed. Hot Pockets or Bagel Bites?
bagel bites.
Both were
Pizza's
trash
on
to
a
me.
bagel. You can have pizza anytime.
Or Hot Pockets. Both really burned my tongue in a disrespectful way. So I'm
So
We
disrespectful.
never had Hot Pockets, but we liked our bagel bites.
the cheese was like ungodly.
Golding.
Yeah, scolding. Exactly.
Rice Krispie treats or zebra cakes?
Oh my God, zebra cakes. To this day, I can't be around a zebra cake.
Man, I'm just realizing how much I hated all these treats.
There's a reason why Manny never had body image issues.
Karen and I are like drooling. Like,
Salivating. I'm running to the store after this. Like, I know what I need.
I'm like, ugh, barf. No, I will sell my soul for a homemade Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah.
The other ones had like a weird aftertaste to
Yes.
me.
Because they were chemicals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Homemade.
But a homemade Rice Krispie treat, woof.
Yeah.
Love it.
okay, 2 more. Fun Dip or Ring Pops?
Fun dip.
Oh.
I don't even hesitate at this stuff. I'm like here for it.
Oh, I just remember loving these like after like a swim at the pool
Yes.
on like a sultry summer afternoon. I can't choose, but if I had to, I guess it would be Fun Dip.
That's the right answer.
The blue flavor, like only the blue.
I like the cherry.
I did
I don't
not
like the
Fun
stick
Dip.
though. The stick is weird.
I didn't like the ring pops made my whole hand sticky.
Oh yeah, that's also a sensation I don't enjoy.
All right, my last that's a sensation I don't enjoy. The last one is I wanted to make sure to include Dunkaroos, but there isn't anything that you could compare it to. Like I felt like I was able to like Capri Sun to squeeze
Teddy
it. You know what I'm
Grahams.
saying? No, do you dip Teddy? Anyway,
No,
I
yeah, dip 'em.
decided to make a fresh category for Dunkaroos, and it's basically what is the most iconic 90s snack? Dunkaroos or Sunny Delight?
Oh my gosh.
Like what
how
is
funny.
the most iconic of the two of 90s?
That's what Manny
Oh my
raised.
god, it's like I have ESPN or something.
and that's what I was like, whoa, Manny, gosh, always spoiling my.
And I promise I did not look at that in the document. I did not see that, but I have psychic powers, so
I can't pick between those two.
I'm Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I also, those were brands that we didn't get in our house. So, like, when I would go to a friend's house, I'd be like, oh my God, if they had either of those things, I was like, can I have that?
I hated Sunny Delight. I love a good Minute Maid orange juice, like frozen, like the frozen Minute Maid.
Yeah,
one that came
wow.
in the tube that you had to like add water to. So Sunny Delight was just so off for me. Whenever I had it, it just felt very like
It's not orange juice. It's like its own drink.
it's its own
yeah.
drink.
It
Yeah.
felt weird to me. Like it was.
That's
trying
what
to
I
be-
loved about it.
Oh.
It was like crack to me. I couldn't be around it.
Yeah, I would say the most iconic though is definitely a Dunkaroo. Are Sunny D still around?
Probably.
Maybe.
Because I feel like Dunkaroos.
They are still around. I got them for Maxwell not too long ago.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It was very trip down memory lane.
I love dipping something in frosting because I'm not a big, huge frosting. Oh my God, you guys, I don't love sugar.
Yeah. I'm a savory.
I'm a savory person, exactly. Like if this was like bacon or a hamburger, I'd be like,
How do I pick?
How do I pick one? Like I would be salivating right now, but I'm not a huge like breakfast person. I'm not a huge dessert person. So maybe that's why. But I do love the 90s.
We can do a fruit version for you next time.
Well, thank you, ladies.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
for
Before we do that, I just want to say that I saw something on Threads that was like, mangoes be the only fruit really fighting to be a fruit.
I saw that too. And it's like, I didn't know what it meant, but I knew what it meant.
And I have to say, I agree. And anything mango flavored is my shit. I love a mango
Oh,
flavor.
I wasn't sure if we were like being mad about mangoes. I was like, I don't know. Mangoes are awesome. And why? But like a good mango. We don't get good mangoes in the States, I don't feel like.
We don't.
Yeah, Steph, you know that like from Jamaica, picking it off of a tree.
Oh
a
my
fresh
God.
right mango
There's
off
just
of a
nothing
tree.
like it.
There's nothing like it. Just like, and you let it just kind of like,
The only time getting sticky is acceptable.
yes. So, Steve, Bob, and Luke, sorry.
I was like, what? Get us mango? I don't understand.
Oh my God.
Okay, I know we have to wrap stuff, but
Yes.
I do have a really, really quick confessional that I jotted down while we were talking
Okay.
that I would like to share. And
Please
it is that you said to Manny, diet like what you put in your body, not like dieting. And it's funny how the word diet has been so bastardized into like a specific set of actions to lose weight as opposed to the fuel that we put into our bodies holistically. And that was like a big aha for me.
I'm so happy you said that because I became very aware of what I meant when I typed the word diet versus like, and I realized the same thing.
Yeah.
Manny?
My confessional. My confessional is that when you guys were talking about diet pills, my mind went to DJ Tanner and that Full House episode.
God. And she was eating ice.
Yeah. That was that was like
baby.
perfect embodiment of 90s diet culture, I think.
Yeah. Maybe that's what like made me feel like that's a bad thing. I'm not going to do that when I grow up.
Oh,
Maybe it did. Maybe it
serving
helped.
its purpose, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you, ladies. I find it fitting that we spent this episode talking about food, and next week we'll be talking about a show we all watched while eating our favorite cereal on Saturday mornings. We will be discussing none other than Saved by the Bell. I can't wait.
Finally.
Thank you guys for joining us. Bye.
Hey, bitches. That's a wrap on another episode of You Can Call Me Karen. If you liked what you heard or didn't, go to our show page and leave a review. Just know, we will call you out. And if unlike my two co-hosts, you find yourself scrolling endlessly on TikTok, follow us at You Can Call Me Karen. And if you're still living in the 20th century like a boomer, don't worry. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube at You Can Call Me Karen _pod. We love you for listening.
Yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky tacky, and they all look just the same.